Hi, Kirsten. How are you doing today?
I am doing very well. How about you?
I am doing well. This is Kirsten Lund. She is an American expat living in New Zealand. She used to work at a friendly local game store in Greeley, Colorado, the Nerd Store, and she is a game designer and publisher now. And we're going to talk about her current game that is on Kickstarter right now. It's funding very well, which is cool to see. It's Ovation, and she also has another game that she's working on with Bez, who's been on the show before too. So we'll probably get to talk about that or just whatever related to games that Kirsten wants to talk about. So Ovation, how long have you been working on that game?
Years. It was my first
Yeah.
game. So, so when people say your first game's not going to be very good, I promise that it's not what it was when I first started. So it's been, I'd say, I think we mapped it out that it's for 5.5 years, maybe approaching 6. Yeah, it's been a
Okay.
long time coming. But that's because I was brand new and had lots and lots to learn and lots to refine. And then along the way, decided to self-publish, so I had even more to learn. So it's taken a good amount of time, but it's my dream first project.
Yeah. Do you have a particular interest yourself in classical music? Because that's the setting, right, for the game. Are you a classical musician, or what drew you to that setting?
I'm not currently any. I wouldn't qualify myself or describe myself as a musician, but I definitely played instruments as a kid. I grew up listening to classical music. My dad was the guy in the neighborhood blaring Beethoven and Mozart instead of rock and roll. He was
Hmm.
known for that. So I really appreciate classical music. But my son, I was homeschooling my son, and we were always looking for games to enhance our learning.
Hmm.
So one time we found out that the Denver Symphony opened their rehearsals for educational purposes. So we were going to attend a rehearsal of the Denver Symphony. They were doing the Firebird, which I thought was really good and exciting.
Yeah.
So of course I looked for a classical music game and came up empty. And so being a game lover my whole life, I went, why isn't there a classical music game? There should be. Now there have been some that have certainly come out in the almost 6 years that we've been working on this, but none of them in which you are the composer as the player. So every time new ones would come out, I go, "Oh, let's see, did someone create Ovation?" And I kept watching, and no one did. So I kept at it, and so it was really inspired by trying to educate my son a little bit, but play the game first. So it's just
Hmm.
there's just some learning in there on flavor text, and there's bios on of the composers on the back. But you don't need
Hmm.
to know anything about classical music, and you don't have to read all of that stuff if you don't want to. There's a little bit of learning what strings, what instruments fall into strings, what instruments might fall into woodwinds, but that's totally subtle.
Hmm.
And then different types of music like operas and symphonies and sonatas and concertos and stuff like that. Just some terminology that you can use in the game, but it's real subtle learning. It was fun first design, with education as the sneaky little side.
That's great. Well, so that is quite a while. I mean, I, I know some people who have been working on games for 20 plus years, and they just, for whatever reason, that game doesn't get finished. But 5 years, 6 years, that is quite a bit of time that your own gaming taste might have changed in that time. Did you find that you were influenced by other designers in different ways uh, during the last few years?
Absolutely. There was a big shift in the game design and development,
Hmm.
probably three, no, it was before we left Colorado. So probably 4 years ago when Eric Alvarado of Talon Strikes Games said, I think you're
Hmm.
missing an opportunity with inspiration here. Inspiration at that time was just a single resource, as
Hmm.
was money, florins. So I think you're missing an opportunity with inspiration, because inspiration and music has different feelings to it.
Hmm.
And that just completely altered the direction of the game in a really
Hmm.
exciting way. At the same time, I got some feedback about it for an engine builder. It was staying pretty even throughout the
Hmm.
game. And
Hmm. Hmm.
with an engine builder like I wanted to be working on, I needed that ramp up.
Yeah.
So I split inspiration into three tones. So you have passion, you have joy, and you have sorrow, red, yellow, and blue. And they're shaped so that they're accessible for colorblind friendliness.
Mm-hmm.
And those will inform the tone of the music that you perform. And something that was always in the game was attending each other's performances. So now when you attend someone's performance, you gain inspiration of the same type that that music is. So if it's a really sad opera, a really tragic, sad opera, you gain sorrow, which just brought the game experience into a whole new place that I was really, really excited about. And then with the engine building aspect, I started designing something with chaining actions and building up underneath your player board, building the cards up underneath your player board so you could do bonus actions and stuff. And somebody mentioned Gizmos, so I watched a thing on Gizmos, and so I got inspired by Gizmos a bit. So you've got a little bit of a Gizmos feel in there, and definitely the influence from Eric with the tones of inspiration. And then so many, because when we came to New Zealand, we got here and the whole world shut down. We got here in February 2020. So everybody went online, and it was a terrible time, of course, but there was this beautiful thing for me coming to a new place and being isolated, was that I could still connect with all these wonderful gamers online, game designers online. So that was hugely influential. Wonderful, wonderful community out there of designers playtesting and providing feedback and being enthusiastic and wanting it to be its best. So absolutely, I took a lot from a lot of different designers, games, continue playing games and get influenced all the time.
Yeah. So that's a whole different thing. There are people who enjoy the production side of things, and there are people who enjoy the designing side of things. They can definitely overlap, but they're very different things for some people. So how have you been finding getting into the production side of things? Like, I'm guessing that you, based on your pictures of the game and so forth, that you have ordered production samples and gone through all that of picking where you're going to get it done. How has that gone for you, and what have you enjoyed and what have you found difficult?
That was not what my original intention was. That's for sure. And I was pitching it. I was pitching the game, and a lot of publishers that were interested in the mechanics were very concerned about the theme in terms of whether it was marketable to their community, to their base, their customers. And I totally understood that. They have employees to feed, they have much bigger stakes. And I was suggested, would you be willing to change it to a bard in a fantasy setting? Would you be willing to the one that I definitely was one of my catalysts for, no, I'm going to have to do this, was, would you be interested in changing it into social media influencers? No, I wouldn't. Yeah. That's definitely not the goal and the dream. So I hadn't intended to do it. So it has been a struggle at times just to learn what I don't know. It's like, ask questions. And I'm going, I'm not sure what questions to ask. So I've used resources like Jamie Stegmeyer's blog. I've been very fortunate here. Once we were out of lockdown, the Game Artisans of New Zealand was able to get together and have a retreat. And at that retreat is Shem Phillips of Garfield Games. You can't get much better resource than that in terms of how to publish right, how to do it right. So there, once again, the community is really supportive, but that's part of what's taken me a long time. I think my biggest struggle, it's either not knowing what I don't know, and then trying to find what that is and get the resources and assistance. And then the second biggest struggle I continue to have is self-promotion. So you kindly responded to my post in the Board Game Reviewers and Media Facebook group, right?
Yeah.
But I did that well into the campaign is already underway, because I have such a hard time going, me, dig me, look at what I'm doing. Let's talk, So successfully funding and encouragement from game designer friends has got me a little bit better about that. But that's definitely something I can improve for. if this funds well enough and we're looking good and well on the way, this won't be a one and done. This will be an opportunity to continue in the future. So I will get better at saying, hey, I have something cool, and this is an opportunity for me to share something I think you'll enjoy. I just change how I think about that. Plus, getting to promote all these other friends and their stuff makes me feel good. And I know that I'm starting to learn that they'll want to hear that folks will want to hear about it, because those that would enjoy it, they need to get to know that it's out there, right? So those are the two toughest things: knowing what I don't know, and and getting myself out there. Once you kind of know what you don't know, then it's still a learning process. I've learned so much new tech along. Like, no, not another piece of new tech. Okay. But it's been really satisfying and keeps me young and alive. Keeps my brain going.
Yeah. So are you using somebody for the fulfillment, or are you going to just like have it shipped to a certain place, and then how are you going to handle fulfillment? Because that's the next big thing after getting this crowdfunding done, right?
Yes, I talked to Shem, and Shem said, "What I do, that's the easiest thing. You could work with a bunch of different people in a bunch of different hubs, or you can go to one and have them subcontract out to the hubs, and so you just send the games there, but you're only dealing with one entity." And he said, Gamerati's great. And I said, okay, cool. So I am doing the Shem model. I am working with one, and it's Gamerati. And so yeah, Gamerati is going to be handling that for me, except in New Zealand, because I didn't want to have things going to other places and being much more expensive for the folks here in New Zealand. So I have a partner here that Hobby Games is going to help me distribute here in New Zealand. So it'll be much less expensive for my Kiwi friends.
Are you finding a different, so this is totally off subject from you publishing. This is just you as a hobbyist. Are you finding a different set of games there in New Zealand than you did when you were in the US? Like things that are available to you?
Definitely there's some things are harder to get here in New Zealand. Sometimes the hotness whatever's on the hotness will be a little bit later to us. And definitely things are more expensive. We're far, far from everyone. So things have to ship here, and that is not inexpensive at all. That's an interesting conundrum. But largely people are getting, I have friends who get the new hotness, and I get to play it because they bought it. So it's not vastly different, and the games themselves are the same popular game.
Yeah. I just don't know if maybe you were finding new and exciting things to you, maybe from the Pacific region that we might not. Yeah,
there are some. There's since the other game I'm working on currently is a word game. There's a really wonderful word game called Kiitos, Kiitos. Kiitos, which is not widely distributed, but it's a really clever, cool word game, and that's one of the delights that's here in New Zealand. I think part of it is we have the Game Artisans of New Zealand that I mentioned has Shem and Bobby Hill, who designed Hadrian's Wall, and the trio from Badgers from Mars who designed Regicide. The New Zealand designers are killing it, but they're killing it so much that you've heard of those games, right?
Yeah.
You can get those games. So we do have some gems here that aren't making it across the Pacific to you, but there's also a lot of games that are just so good there that you played them, But yeah, it's really exciting. There's another one that just finished recently called Lindyhop, and so there's some definitely local designers and stuff that doesn't necessarily bust worldwide. Cheeky Parrot Games has a lot of titles that are available worldwide, but some of them are just more treasures for us here in New Zealand. But it's exciting to see both the local and the wow, Shem killing it again. It's really cool. Or Regicide Legacy, which is they're working on, which everybody needs to play. I need it. My son is like, we have to get it. Yes, we do. We will.
So does your son still play your game? Like how is that going in terms of level of funness for you? Do you still want to play Ovation or go ahead.
That's a really good question, and yes, he's very excited and protective of it. He knows that he's a large part of why it even exists, and he's been a great playtester for me. He has obviously changed quite a bit in his taste and his personality and his voice and how tall he is in the amount of time that it's taken me to design this thing. Uh, so he has definitely grown a lot and developed a lot, but he still enjoys playing it, is still excited, still willing. He'll go with me if, like, I did a local game group, said, hey, why don't you come talk to us about designing a game, publishing a game that'll be really interesting to our group, and then go play. And he came with me and was happy to play it with folks again. And he actually, at WellyCon, our biggest convention, he actually managed my booth for a while I went and did an event to demo it. He managed the booth and taught people the game. And later a gal came up and said, I just wanted to tell you your son was fantastic. He taught me the game and he was really enthusiastic. so he's been my little best mate. He came with me to the WellyCon this year. It was just the two of us. My husband and youngest daughter couldn't make it, but he's definitely my partner in crime on it. And so yeah, we actually still, I don't mind playing it. I'll play it again and again. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
It's been so long. I mean, if I tired of it, it would be really painful.
Well, yeah, there's sometimes a hard thing of like, okay, I had to do this so much via playtest and everything else that like, I know it's a good game and I like it, but I'd rather not play it. But that's interesting and good that you still like playing your game.
Yeah, I did. I went to a Littler Con this most recently, and one of my favorite moments of all the times I've play tested it came with this gentleman who walked up with tinted glasses on, and I didn't think anything of them, but it became notable because he said, oh, I'm wearing these because I'm colorblind. And I said, this is wonderful. I have worked so hard to make this colorblind accessible, but I've only used tools. I haven't gotten to talk to a human. Oh, would you please be willing to play? Because he had approached me saying, how can I play? I'm like, please play, please. So he whipped the glasses off and went, let's give it a go. And so as I taught the game, I said, how do these look for you? How about this? Is this distinct from this? So it took me a little longer to teach him than other folks, just to make sure. And he was like, nope, everything's looking good. I can tell the difference between this, this, and this. And we played the whole game out, and then he beat me. So it's still, I don't nominate everybody at all times. And attending people's performances is still delightful to me. And so I still enjoy that part of the game so very much. And then the composers are slightly asymmetric, which I did largely about who they are as composers. So Beethoven gets a discount on passion because I find Beethoven to be a really passionate composer. Mozart gets a discount on joy. Haydn gets a discount on all the concert music because his patrons were always the super elite and he was always quite wealthy. And so he never had any trouble with the big concerts. He was always the big cheese himself. So I had fun with those. So it's unique every time. Playing with different players is unique every time. And it doesn't hurt that I just love games.
Yeah. Well, what's your favorite game other than your own then?
I was asked that recently, and I picked Concordia, which is one of my favorite games. It doesn't have any of that same kind of interaction, but I just love how elegant it is, how the decisions are so interesting. There's so many choices with a simple set of cards. The mechanics are very smooth and fluid and not overwhelming, but the decision space is so great and there's so much to think about. And then, of course, marvelous bits. I love the tokens. I love the shaped tokens and stuff like that, which you find in Ovation too. I have my shaped inspiration my little music notes. And I'm sure that's inspired in part by loving Concordia and the little wine and all
Yeah,
of
yeah,
that
yeah.
stuff, the little linen, or whatever, all the different bits. So yeah, that one's one I've named. It's tough though, isn't it, to pick a bait?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, the good thing is you can change your mind. It's not
Yeah.
like yeah, yeah.
That'll always,
Uh, Go
so
ahead.
that's why I picked it. It'll always be up in the top for me.
Yeah. Um, if you could go back and change anything in the last couple months related to the Kickstarter, and I know you kind of mentioned doing self promotion a little better, but like specifically related to how you would do your Kickstarter, for example, maybe an advice that you would give yourself or somebody else doing their Kickstarter for the first time, what would you do differently?
I think I would probably, I set myself a date, and there were times I thought maybe I should push it back a little bit to give
Mm,
myself time to get the game to different content creators,
hmm
and get more content, more reviews, blog posts, that sort of thing, and also try to drive up the followers. I mean, I had a good number of followers. I had about 600 followers when I
hmm
launched, which felt good. But I've definitely seen ones with more, and I think if I'd given myself just that little bit more time, because as I mentioned, that struggle with self promotion
mm,
made it so that I was delayed with some of the things that I should have been
hmm
doing before then. So I think giving myself the grace to delay it a little bit if necessary. I just delayed so long. I didn't want to. And I was like, 600 is great. Let's go for it. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think that would be the big one, is that you don't have to launch on X date, that you can make sure that it's ready, and it's ready to succeed. Now we have funded successfully and it's going well, and I'm very happy, but I think it could maybe have reached even more people in that little Venn diagram of people who love board games and love classical music. Although, as I keep trying to encourage people, you don't have to know or love classical music to play. Um, it's a game first and foremost, and you're managing resources, and
hmm
you're trying to win and stuff like that, and all of it's iconography driven, and so you don't have to even talk about the music if you don't want. But most people get into it in spite
hmm
of themselves. But yeah, that would probably be it. It's just maybe delay a little bit, get the word out more, give more time to content creators. I've had a lot of content creators apologize to me for timing. And I say, no, I've been very last minute for you. So please fit this into your life, your family. All the important things come first.
hmm
Ovation and I are A-OK. We funded, but so fit this into your world. But they're
hmm
really kind. A lot of content creators are really conscientious about getting it to you and wanting
Yeah.
to help, because they do it for passion too, like we were talking about.
hmm
You
Yeah.
do it for the love of it.
Yeah. Yep.
So they do it for the love of it, and they want to help. But at the same time, I was very last minute. So we're
Mm,
giving each other grace on timing. And so
yeah.
give yourself grace on timing.
Yeah. Um, so you're working on another game. You won the 2022 Ell Deck contest that Bez had going on. We
Yeah.
mentioned that briefly. How is that going? So your version, you said, is mission based, which I haven't seen with Ell Deck. That's interesting. That's fun. Yeah, tell me more about that.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Speaking of games that you still enjoy playing, I just have so much fun with this one. And we have to play test it a lot because it is mission based. There will be 50 quests with Questable, and it's a cooperative word building game.
Yeah.
So as a team, you'll have the cards in your hand, and you're trying to build up. You play one card at a time and try to build up words, but there's a quest each time as to what length of words they can be, and specific things that you're trying to do, whether that's a maximum of one vowel per word, or sometimes it's based on the numbers on the cards, and the words have to total less than 15 or more than 20. There are different levels, so there's everything from easy, normal, then we get to tricky, fiendish, and then fully diabolical. diabolical. We get into the diabolical levels. So one of my favorite diabolical levels is use every single letter of the alphabet. And that's a really challenging one when you
with a
succeed at
single
them.
word.
Not like a single word,
Okay.
but making the words have to be at least 5 letters long.
Yeah.
And you just have the deck, and so there are 6 letters that are appear once in the deck. There are 3 letters that appear twice in the deck. So like, have we used all the F's? We've sunk ourselves, right? There's only 2 F's.
Yeah.
And then J, K, Q, V, X, and Z are only once. And there's a story that's going with it too. And we're going to work it out so it can be kind of almost choose your own adventure-esque, where you can skip ahead and go combat the monster or whatever. And so it's our nemesis with J, K, Q, V, X, and Z is Jack Q Vexes, and he's our evil wizard, and so that we're fighting against. And it's just so fun. Her deck is so perfect for this. I had been thinking about doing that kind of a game, but I hadn't designed the deck to go with it. And then I saw the contest and I went, wait a minute, this could be the thing, because the deck has letters on the top, letters on the bottom. It has numbers on them based on the frequency the letters appear in the deck. It has different suits, different borders on the cards. So there's so much design space. It's like we're designing a bunch of little mini games. And so it's just expressing our creativity and having fun with it, and then play testing it. I've had reactions kind of unlike anything else I've designed. They've been really positive in the game designer groups and stuff. People are willing to keep playing and testing different levels for us. People are like, hey, send me this stuff. I'll test it. I'll test it at home. I have a friend who is a heavy gamer, very heavy gamer. And he was just talking to me last night about what's going on with it. That game is so good. It's not, and it really in his normal wheelhouse, but he's like, my family's going to love it. You got to keep working on it. So it's just been really exciting. And Bez and I meet and talk every week
awesome.
as we're developing it together and talk about our playtest results. And I think between the 2 of us, we're just getting the best of both of our brain power and having a lot of fun with it.
That's awesome. And she's going to be closer. If I don't know when she's moving at some point, she's going to be closer in time to you soon too. So that'll help.
That's right.
With that. Yeah.
So. Thailand is definitely closer.
Closer. Yeah.
At this point, I put it in Google Calendar based on the other person's time zone, and let Google Calendar figure.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's really challenging living so far from everyone.
Yeah. Anything else that you want to tell people about? I mean, your campaign is going on for, let me look at the date here for, I can't find the date now. Two more weeks. Okay. Yeah. 2 more weeks. So by the time that this air, it might be a couple of days before this air. So at least another week.
Yeah.
Ovation will be going on. And then you have your, what's the name of this version of the Ell Deck?
Oh, Questable.
Questable. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then anything else you want to let people know about that they should look forward that you're doing, or just other projects that you enjoy that you want to let people know about?
Yeah, I have lots of bug bit. I have lots of things I'm working on and enjoying working on. But I think the other project I'm really excited about that everybody should check out is Shelf Care, which is also live on Kickstarter right now, which is a coloring book featuring art, tabletop inspired art from all of these amazing artists, including the graphic artist from Ovation, John Merchant. Cool. John Merchant is so talented. When people keep saying how beautiful Ovation looks and how clean the graphic design is, that makes it really smooth to play, I just keep going, John's amazing. He does great work. And then when people love the characters, I talk about Zubbles, because Zubbles is the artist, and they both just do such great things. So John is in that, as well as Tyler from Covery Studios, and they did my photos for me and my how to play, and they're marvelous people. Tyler and Elia. So I'm excited to be supporting that, and I think everybody should check that one out too, by Violet
Very
Daisy
cool.
Games. So that's my other. I'm excited about what's happening in the community because that's a really new and creative and just wonderful project that's going to feature so many talented artists.
Very cool. Well,
And we
thank you so
couldn't
much.
do this without them.
Oh yeah, well, it sounds like you've been very connected, and I think people are both appreciative of you, and it sounds like you're appreciative of them too. So that's really cool to hear that community that's happened. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time, and best of luck with all your ventures. And I hope to see more of what you design soon. Ovation. When will Ovation be fulfilling to people?
That's a little tough because we have more art to do, so it's going to depend a bit on our artists. But the goal is to have it to people by the end of the first quarter of 2024.
Cool. Okay, so hopefully Ovation will be out in the wild first quarter of 2024, but flexibility there because stuff happens.
Well, and art takes that creative spark and stuff. But we have 10 backers who are going to be in the game. So Zubbles is going to get their pictures and draw, including Shem. He's one of our backers. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but Shem's going to be in the game. Let's just put it that way, which I'm very excited about. So that'll take time to get Shem just right,
All right. Well, thank you so much, Kirsten. Appreciate your time. And you have a good weekend down in New Zealand.
Thanks so much for talking with me.
Yeah.